the intro.
Well, having fun with the intro.
Just get a little loose.
I gotta get it loosey-goosey, you know? So welcome to Closing Staff Podcast, you know, your home for everything news relating GameStop, new recent games, whole bunch of stuff going on. I was out for a little bit. I just pulled the Master Sword out of the stone, you know, went into hiding for about 7 years. The world changed out there, guys. I don't know what's happening.
I feel like you were actually like Link's Awakening and you stole from somebody's like the shopkeep's equipment and he called you a thief and you couldn't come back in. That's why you went into hiding.
Yeah, no, right? No, yeah, so I didn't have a get out of jail free card, you know, yeah. No, I was stuck somewhere, you know, like in purgatory. You guys had a good time with an episode out, you know, with me out.
Yeah, it was fun. We had some time in the last episode.
We had a blast from the past, you know.
Yeah, we had
chatting with the level up.
With good old level up, you know, yeah.
Great. We
missed you there. We missed you there.
And it is worth mentioning that we are fortunate to have you back.
Yeah.
Under the circumstances of your departure.
Yeah.
Of your vacancy.
Let's say my chocobo crashed. Yeah. I had a little bit of a rough, I had a little bit of a rough accident, but I'm happy to be back. Yeah. I took a red potion. Took a red potion.
The red potion takes a little longer to work in real life.
Yeah. Yeah, right? No, exactly, yeah.
Got caught in the other world.
Used a Phoenix down. Like, what else do we got? You know.
Used a Phoenix down.
Tried to get the elixir, but it cost too much.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Insurance would not cover the elixir.
Realized my chocobo wasn't insured. Yeah, you know. It's like, oh man.
Spent a little time on IR, but it's good to have you back.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good to be back.
Good to have you back.
But that being said, to my left, you know, I haven't seen him in a long time. Good to see him. The strong but nimble. You know, you know him as the smooth talker. You know him as the sweet voice. You know,
as the lullaby.
You know, as the lullaby. You know, he's the siren lurking underneath the water. You know, he's your one and only Cashwrap.
Cashwrap here. How's it going, everybody? Thank you for the intro, Distro.
That was a pretty unique intro.
Yeah, you know.
Smooth, sweet and sultry like Cashwrap's voice.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. They say, what singers do we have in video games, really? Like, is there a character you can think of that sings?
You know, I do have a strong affinity for the dance lead in Space Channel 5.
Okay, there we go.
I don't know if I'd particularly say that's my spirit.
Why can't I remember her name
but
right now?
I do.
I usually know her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, I'm actually blanking on her name too, but she definitely has a name.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, definitely her or Powerpaw. I mean, one of the two.
No, okay, for sure.
Yeah.
I like it.
So those are my music. Those are my music heroes.
Yeah, those are music heroes. You heard it here first. And then we can't leave out right here to my right. You don't see him because, you know, he's almost divine. He's in his ethereal form and he just popped out of nowhere. He's been hiding, you know, out there in the archives, gaining knowledge.
I think it's because I'm Asian and I'm a ninja, so I give that impression that I'm, you know, in hiding.
Yeah.
I am in hiding because I'm a ninja, not ethereal.
If he was an action figure, his items would be a Mountain Dew. And then an abacus.
Exactly.
And then a sword.
One in each hand.
No, I'm just kidding. He is one of the most valuable members of our party. You know, with tons of XP. He's
the keeper of records for
he's
the
keeper of records.
He's the one. Tradehold is the one. Which, by the way, we are talking about Tradehold.
Yeah, Tradehold.
He is the one who takes time in between shows to branch out and come back with stories of what lies beyond our borders.
You know, the world beyond. You know, the uncharted territories.
The tales that he brings back from his many travels are quite illuminating from what lies beyond. So, I think of Tradehold as the librarian, as the keeper of records,
the wise man,
the
mage. Would you say he's our mage?
The mage, the maester, as it were.
The maester, as it were. You know, the one and only Tradehold.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
That was a pretty head inflating intro.
Yeah, right? Yes.
This whole thing has been a really long intro, but it's been a pretty cool intro.
Yeah, right.
Intro with the pro intro.
And then when you bring us all together, you know, Closing Staff Podcast. Here to bring you another good episode.
It's pretty well balanced. It's got, you know, we've got good we've got a good tank on the team. We've got a good damage. Damage
DPS.
You know, it's good DPS. You know, yeah.
I think we've got a nice balance between the three of us.
Right.
And I guess
Cricket's our healer, right?
Well, I was gonna say, does that make Cashwrap our bard?
Yeah, I guess it would.
Yeah, no, Cashwrap would be our board.
I didn't bring my loot today, but I gotta remember to bring that next time.
+5 charisma, and everything we do.
Just as coincidentally, I actually play Record Keeper. So for one of the few Final Fantasy mobile games that I actually play, or mobile games in general that I play, it's called Record Keeper.
Wow.
So
okay, nice.
Consistency is alarming. Actually.
I like this. And
is
but
nice surprise.
Something good little segue. Something that's been lacking consistency as our topics go today is the consistency of GameStop's financial situation.
Fortunately, we can't say
their employment. Like where they're sitting at right now, what the things they're trying to implement.
Yeah,
all the
it's
different
been lots of
restructuring.
A lot of different restructuring.
Lots of changes lately.
Yeah, I mean, they already announced that they weren't happy with the last attempting to sell the company. So now they're just doing a massive restructuring.
Yeah.
What were some of the news again? There were quite a few.
So even starting off, like the main headline, I remember because she took me aback, is they're chopping Game Informer up.
Yeah.
Basically laid off tons of their key editors and like writers and stuff.
They laid off half of Game Informer.
Yeah, half of Game Informer, and then they started going through and purging off like a lot of the regional managers and then some of the district managers too, right?
Because 40
they said 40
district
managers, and I think they say like 30% of regional managers got let go.
Wow.
Or something like that. Yes. Don't quote me on that number, but I know it was a good chunk.
Yeah. Then they on top of when they were doing the Game Informer layoff, which was a surprise to I guess a lot of the staff, because they just took it to Twitter. It's like, I just got laid off, like they didn't know. And while they were doing that, they also I think laid off 100 people from corporate headquarters. GameStop.
I think it was a pretty big percentage.
Right? Yeah, no, it was like it was Judgment Day,
something like that. Yeah. Judgment Day. Really.
Yeah, Judgment Day for
if
sure.
If anyone out there is
the rapture
that has been affected by these changes,
we feel for you.
We don't speak of them lightly.
Yeah.
I think us here at the closing staff, hearts go out to all y'all affected by that sort of thing.
Of course, because I love Game Informer. Like I'm one of the few people that still go occasionally try to read it.
Yeah.
Even when it was in the stores, like I was consistently reading it.
Yeah.
And like I remember we even touched on it before. Like I agree, sometimes it's not the best, but they usually hit it 1 out of every 5. You know, it's where I'm sitting there and they're actually giving me.
I got a bunch right here.
And we all know we all wait for the Game of the Year edition. Like issue
Always.
when it comes out. Like the Christmas issues when they start getting there.
who doesn't love a good issue that has Game Enforcer in there too?
Yeah,
when you start reading the parody that they have, I love that segment. So.
Like they usually hit it really well. Like I remember just saying it, and like when they still have really good artists doing their covers.
Yeah,
they still have a lot of good stuff. It's just I'd hate to, as an old school gamer and as a guy that came from like, way back when I still had like game like a bunch of different magazines,
right?
Where
Game
like
Pro,
Game Pro and all those.
Nintendo Power.
Yeah, Nintendo Power. I don't want to see it go to digital. Like. Even though that's where it's going.
The strategy, huh?
That's where it's going now.
Going digital.
Well, I just say that I know a lot of people who like are down. They always joke about who reads Game Informer anymore. That's what they always say, and they pretty much say that with any big journalistic company. Who listens to Kotaku? Who listens to Polygon? Stuff like that. But between Kotaku, Polygon, and Game Informer, I actually prefer Game Informer by far.
Yeah, I'd say Game Informer is the only one that's still out there consistently.
Yeah, and then there's still some good ones that aren't as well known, like Dual Shockers. I don't know if you guys ever listen or not listen, because they do online. There's digital online articles, but Dual Shockers, and there's another one that I can't think of right now. Push Square.
Okay.
I think they're good too. Sometimes.
Interesting. Yeah.
But yeah. It's a shame with the Game Informer.
Yeah, because have you guys actually tried reading Game Informer off the app or anything of the sort? It's rough.
I have a while ago. It's been a long time.
Same.
They've updated it and it's rough. Like it's not something that feels comfortable, and I'm just gonna stop reading it altogether.
Well, I mean, they may be overhauling that experience if that's the only way to get Game Informer now.
Yeah, I mean, if they're gonna take off resources from paying actual, because they laid off half of Game Informer, they probably might put some money into making the app more streamlined, so it's not as difficult.
Yeah, that's true. Because even with me, like at least nowadays, I don't really go to GameStop.com or like check all these places.
Right.
Usually, it's easier for me to like I said, I got the Game Informer. Like we flip open to the table of contents and just scroll down and see like, is there anything that interests me?
Right.
Like anything that's really popping up. Like, oh, like this is coming out. Like
right. Exactly.
Like there's new games. I can't name anything off the top of my head because I never looked at one recently. But
yeah,
you do have those moments where you look down and you're saying, hey, I can find a game that's coming out.
Yeah. Yeah,
like that new Ubisoft game. Like, what's it called? Origin Mankind, or The one where it's like you're playing as a monkey.
Yeah, you're playing as a monkey.
You know, yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've heard
I saw that in Game Informer, and I was just like, what?
Yeah,
but
yeah, that one.
It's stuff like that, like a game I wouldn't think of, like probably wouldn't see online right away because no one's really hyping it, but they have a spot in Game Informer that got my attention. You know?
Right. So I mean, for everyone who's been affected directly by those, definitely good luck out there.
Yeah, good luck sure.
We hope you find something. For everyone who didn't get affected and who's still on staff at Gameform, if you happen to be listening to this, stay strong.
Yeah.
We hope you have a good future in the digital landscape, if that's what lies ahead. Or
it seems like GameStop
otherwise
is just cutting the fat off everywhere. You know, like first it was chopping away the Cricket service.
Right.
Then it was starting to get away completely from like selling cell phones in store. We're shipping them all back to the warehouse.
I mean,
and then like now it's just like, you know what, we can go next, Game Informer. Like,
yeah.
You know.
Right.
But I mean, Cricket didn't last that long in terms of the GameStop, history.
Yeah.
So it's really they just change. They're doing too much at one time.
Yeah.
That now they're realizing, okay, we gotta let it go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, how long was Cricket with GameStop? Like maybe
I'd say 3-4 years.
Yeah,
about 3 or 4 years.
Good 3 years.
A little chunk,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really.
But even then too, yeah, it's
time.
like, but something that's been with GameStop for so long, like Game Informer.
Game Informer's been there for a while.
And like, how's that going to affect the way people sell like their pro cards or the way that people sell like their stuff in store?
That's going to have to require an adjustment for sure in strategy.
We were saying before is like usually like the price of the magazine for that's not the price of one magazine is the price of the first sign up. So
yeah,
you're pretty much getting the 11 issues for free basically.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and having a physical issue meant a lot.
Yeah,
you can show it to someone and we used to flip through the magazine real quick and show
people just come in and be like, got the recent Game Informer, like, yeah, hold on, let me look through it. Like, yeah, there you go.
You're going to be signing up for something digital. You can't see it. I could show you a tablet. I'll show you on a tablet, but yeah, it's going to require a different strategy altogether if they're going to keep that a piece of.
But to be fair, if they do the app really well, then they can actually show off the features of the app.
Yeah, they can show the app and
they're like, maybe let's say they're like, oh yeah, this article has the about this game. Maybe you can actually type it up and search it. Who knows? Maybe it might be like super simple.
Yeah, it might down for just a straight Game Informer app as opposed to having to go through the GameStop app.
Yeah,
that's if they just dedicate it to where it's just like, like you said, you can get your coupons straight from right there. That are like straight to the Game Informer. Like everything is just streamlined.
Yeah,
easy to read.
Pretty good idea.
Without having to go through like a bunch of hoops in the GameStop app to get to the
actual.
And even the GameStop app, like it's it works to look up stuff up, but sometimes it's not the most friendly.
Yeah,
I remember getting the Power Up Rewards app, and it would just be like going to the website.
Yeah.
What is the point of this? They've gotten a little better at least.
Even that too. The Power Up Rewards store definitely went away a long time ago too.
Yeah,
like that pretty much got cut.
It did.
Yeah.
Like and with the implementation of their loot implementation of their loot system, like
loot system. Yeah,
that's true. But that being said, like even trying to get people like more incentives, like for what's it called? Instead of people are trying to sell a card now and they can't like as efficiently because they're taking away Game Informer.
Right.
Like what's the next thing they're really going to push is like, oh, well, the card's going to get you more trade credit, so they're really going to start banking on trade.
What's going to be
what's going to be the next like real point of like a talking point,
Yeah, those of you out there who are listening who work at GameStop, you may have already started receiving some material on what the focus is going to be for that sale. It'd be interesting to kind of hear what is that focus going to be on now.
Yeah,
how are you going to leverage these things that you're selling?
Yeah, what benefits are the cards going to give you now, so forth, because most people ask just like, well, and you get the Game Informer on top. It's like, now it's just like, well, do you get the magazine? No. Now it's like, I don't even know if we're going to have the magazine. We probably have to pay like $14.99 for the magazine,
Yeah, exactly.
But even then, too, like what we were saying, too, before Trade Holder, where you said it was incentive for trade-ins,
Yes, there's a incentive for, there's a commission now
commission,
for trade-ins. I think managers, I believe, will get the commission. And so that is there's a good and a bad to that, pro and a con for doing something like that. The pro would be, be more ability with the trades. There's more incentive for customers too for trades, right? Because there's probably going to be some kind of boost because they're trying to get more trades to come in. But the con would be like it's really easy for managers to really just mess with numbers or just try to take over trades.
Yeah, cherry pick their transactions.
Yeah, exactly. Like one of the GAs or something might be handling a trade and the manager might want to try to take over the transaction because it gives them a commission bonus.
Well, even too, it's
So-
like even as like I know we can speak to it as key holders, you know, and like even managers here. Like there's times where even before you open the door, you're looking out and you're seeing a dude with like a huge box of trade, you know, like
Yeah.
a lot of people are trading stuff first thing in the morning. The GAs aren't even there, you know, like
Yep, having to do that on your
It's
own.
kind of like having to do that on your own, you know.
Yeah.
You think it's giving them more incentive to be like, oh no, you just deal with this trade, you know, kind of like keeping them on the front lines, you know, almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's almost weird. I'd almost feel kind of weird getting that commission, you know, and I know like my other staff doesn't have that opportunity.
Yeah.
Because at least it feels like a fair basis. As soon as my guys get in, then you can kind of work with them as a manager and be like, hey, let me get you in a good spot so you can get some trade commission.
Right.
The store can be good. Like, you know, I can do my thing and we can run things good. Because at the end of the day, too, like the manager's already getting paid more than the employees, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
They're already getting paid more, so they're getting more money for trade.
Yeah.
And then the basic level GA or the basic level key holder. Like, we've been there, you know? You're taking a lot of bullets, you know? You're basically doing a lot of management stuff, too.
That's true.
Like, you're actually doing assistant manager stuff at the end of the day, too,
Yeah.
sometimes. Like,
yeah.
like, and
that's
you're not getting the
true.
compensation for it, and you're not getting the trade
Yeah.
commission for it. So it's like,
Yeah.
you know,
But at the same time, like this is very dependent store to store because
that's true.
it's. I mean, like we work with Level Up, and he's a very stand up, guy, and
Yeah.
he's like he really wants to spread, the wealth. He's the type. He's the type that spreads the wealth within
Spreads
his
it
team.
around. Yeah, he
So
did a good job of that.
in terms of the store to store, it could be all of you guys know that sometimes district managers or regional managers don't give us budgets for events, and so the manager themselves take it out of their pocket to make these events happen.
Yeah.
So in that case, managers getting that commission, they might put it to good use to motivate their team. Where it's like, okay, maybe you do enough sales this week, or you do really high numbers in this category. They might put that extra commission into like a gift card.
Right.
That's
Or,
good. That's the good point too. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah,
there's
because, like,
there's
it
good
could
and
be-
bad.
It's not to bash on GameStop for implementing something like that, but yeah, it's just like I feel like it could be used to good use that
Yeah.
way too. You know, that's a good
Yeah,
way to look
More
at it
of
for
like
sure.
A store effort sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Where if we reach those goals, let's throw like a team party or
Yeah.
something.
Or like
you know?
you're using your commission to like morale boost, like taking everybody out, like
Yeah.
like for a certain like bonding day, or even like
Yeah.
you said, like next event, you know what, like on me, we're gonna get some food, like some
Right.
pizza or like
Right.
something, you know,
Exactly.
or like go over and talk to the people next door and stuff, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just go hang out and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Go to Applebee's.
Yeah, go to
Like
Applebee's or
what we
something,
used
you
to
know,
do.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
work, that was fun.
And it's good for morale and stuff like
yeah,
that, you know.
it's a
But
good thing.
yeah, that's a good
And
point.
Tradehold, you make a good point too. Level Up, who we had as a guest in the last show, was really good about that. I
Yeah.
mean, we didn't have commission or anything like that, but
Mhm.
he was good about creating this one team mentality
Mhm.
where, if we had goals that we reached and there happened to be an incentive, if we reach those goals, top in the district or whatever it might be, then he would, kind of bring us all in on that. And what he would do, which was really cool, and I think you might have maybe said a few things on that too, Distro, about doing this. When you come back with all your goodies from conference,
Oh yeah,
you kind of use those as incentives for the team, and,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
maybe not even incentives, just kind of passing out what you're not
Yeah.
using.
of course, you know.
And speaking of conference that's launching soon, so for everyone going to conference who's listening, have a good time.
Yeah, have a good
should
time
Should
and
be a good time.
share your wealth.
By
Man.
the time we upload this, conference will probably already be over.
Yeah,
Remember,
so
give
by the
the
time you
swag to
listen-
your employees.
Yeah, exactly.
It helps, you know. Even the lanyard helps, you know. Yeah,
Even a lanyard, even a backpack.
because
whatever
Level
it
Up
might
would
be.
come back, and he would always have like a lot of cool stuff, but he kind of just be like, hey, like I saw you like really like working up, or I've seen you like not getting too many hours, but you're trying really hard. Like here, like I got
Yeah,
you.
here's a little thing.
Because even as a GA myself, like I was in the dark when the Fire Nation attacked, you know. It was like I was getting 4 hours every 2 weeks, I believe.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Maybe 4 to 6 hours,
Ooh,
know,
that was
depending.
rough.
And then whenever like I remember I was telling guys like I'm available, just call me.
Just call me.
So
I'll
whenever-
cover. I'll do whatever.
Yeah,
you
whenever
need.
somebody would call out sick, like I'd be like, "Hey, you want to jump?" It's like, "Yep." Like
Yeah.
I'll be there. What time? Oh, the
Yeah.
5:30 to 9:30. You
Yeah.
know, like let's do it.
Yeah.
You know, like let's
That's
do
funny.
it. You know.
That's a good segue into what we wanted to talk about this show, which was we did want to focus, and we've been talking a little bit about it
Yeah.
too, but we wanted to focus this show more on the kind of financial
Yeah, you know, yeah.
aspect of working at
GameStop,
GameStop,
yeah.
working behind the scenes at GameStop, what it might have looked like as a customer, what it might have looked like as an employee there.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Distro being a manager, you have a lot of insight into just how the ecosystem kind of worked in GameStop from a financial aspect. So
Yeah, no, that's definitely true.
Cashwrap says that, but he also was a
Yeah, he was also
Yeah,
assistant manager
I
too.
got to
You know,
see a
yeah.
little bit of that too. But we'll be leaning on Distro for
Oh, nice. Yeah, you know, I'll be carrying that.
you'll be
weight,
carrying
you know?
that conversation there.
No, but it's true because coming in from like a $2 million store, like
Yeah.
my store was pretty high volume, like, and I believe the store we were at before that hand too
Yeah.
was a pretty high volume store. I believe it was like a
Store we were
1.7 or something like
yeah,
that.
it was like 1.5 something.
You know,
like
1.5,
that.
1.7,
Mhm.
like on its good years, you know.
In the good years, yeah.
Yeah, because those
definitely.
are big shopping centers. They're not necessarily big shopping centers, but they have key stores that
Yeah.
kind of like bounce off.
They have
each
a lot
other,
of
yeah.
traffic flow.
Yeah, a lot of traffic flow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
So-
before we get into, I was just gonna say, in terms of, getting these commissions on trades, that one would probably get a lot of commission on trades.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
that,
You're right.
I can
that was
imagine.
high volume more trades
Oh,
at
yeah.
that specific store.
Yeah, because that's what I was even
Mhm.
saying. Like we touched on it a little bit before. Like before you even opened the door, it was like people were
People
waiting there with trade buckets and stuff.
Backpacks full of
So-
stuff, and buckets full,
Yeah, so we were talking to like one of the events I threw beforehand was comes to mind immediately is like the Destiny event, like Destiny 2. Like I bought a lot of the like the actual like cool items,
Yeah,
like
right.
the figures and stuff like that to actually like distribute for the raffle.
Right.
Because you remember our raffle? We had a huge raffle
Yeah,
for
I remember.
Trade Hold was there,
Yeah.
and all that stuff. Like it came out of my pocket, where I was like, you know what, like. We realistically are trying to like push these like
Right.
little quote unquote sales,
Right.
But a lot of people are looking over and it's just like, oh man, I want like where'd you get that from, Like
Yeah.
they have those like stress balls like that are like the engrams and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
the little
yeah.
engram
I was
balls,
like
yeah.
raffling those off and stuff,
That's
like
cool.
if I had the commission for like those things, like I could definitely see it helping, like
Yeah.
actually like
putting
get
it
those
back
events,
into the store to make the store
Yeah,
kind of
but
pop more
The
during
thing
those
is,
events.
with the so not to bash on GameStop,
Mhm.
but sometimes it's not even corporate
Yeah.
GameStop's idea. Sometimes
Right.
it's just district or regional that are just like, oh,
It's
this
just
is your budget.
funding, yeah.
You can't do this event
Right.
because there's no money for it.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
so
right, exactly.
managers would take it into their own hands to,
To
take
do
money
that,
from their own
yeah.
pockets
Mhm.
and make a launch event. And so a lot of people don't see that side. But go on,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And there
No,
was a
sorry,
piece
so
of
that's a good
it
point,
where like you really, like corporate wasn't the one, they weren't on the grounds to see their community, to see their store and what works for their store.
Yeah.
So that's where you kind of had to jump in and say like, well,
that's all.
we only have this much budget if you had some, so I want to put a little bit more into that budget myself.
Yeah, because I always saw that as like what GameStop's core was, and like what was going to keep it alive was relying on the community to be able to come in and
Experience,
experience,
right. Mhm.
and like being able to give them that experience. Like, sure, it's really difficult, but it always like I don't like you said, I don't think GameStop is thinking that way where they're giving them the commission
Right.
for us to do these things.
Right.
But I also see it like as an opportunity, like sadly for even other managers, kind of like we were saying, cherry picking transactions.
Yeah.
Kind of being like, hey, I need to make my car payment like
Right.
real quick, like let me
Which is
let me grab
understandable,
let me
but at the
swoop
same
up
time,
this
it's kinda-
trade thing, like.
Yeah.
And then like it will start like animosity in the stores and like
if it start the
'cause-
that division would start to set in a little bit.
because
right?
I don't know if you've like ever had an employee like this like on seasonal, where they'll be like, I just sold that Xbox, like like
Yeah, right,
like I just
exactly.
like make sure you write it down so that I can get like my cut or
yeah,
something.
we
you know?
need to make sure you were
You know, yeah.
tracking that for me.
Yeah, and a writer would be like, oh no, I just sold 2 PlayStations, right? Like
Right.
what season? We're just like, whoa, dude, like what's going
Yeah,
on? Like
I know.
some people do have that mentality where it's just like I'm all about that commission, like like I'm trying
Yeah.
to get that for me. Like,
I'm trying to
get my
make
bread,
that money there. Yeah.
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 And then it's like,
Whereas-
and that's another thing too is like I never wanted to like open up to like kind of like that sleazy car salesman mentality, where it's like,
where it's
hey,
just
like I'm just trying to get you to trade so that I can get my commission.
So I can get
you know
my
what I mean?
stuff. So yeah,
Like
exactly.
it doesn't feel natural, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
'Cause
then
that's-
it doesn't feel natural, and you interrupt, the camaraderie of the team with that sort of thing. You kind of like, okay,
Mhm.
like is going after that sale worth it? When you're thinking about what kind of trouble that's going to start on the team itself. you
Yeah,
know?
because how does that affect their solution selling at that point too? Because I remember
Right.
that was their big thing was quote unquote solution selling.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, are you really solution selling when you're like knowing that you're gonna get that commission, like
Right.
off that trade?
It's
Are you
like-
really looking out for their better value, or like
Right.
is it kind of like?
Yeah, so
hey,
the
you know?
commission kind of brings that when a commission environment kind of brings those questions.
Yeah,
in,
right. How does it affect the circle of life?
Yeah.
Yes, I want to ask.
Yeah.
I want to ask people this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really,
I'm curious.
I mean, because I said there's a possible good way of going about it, but
Mhm.
for the most part, there must be some way to keep an eye out on something like this because
Yeah.
the manager can really
'Cause
undercut everybody else.
It's like the wilderness out there, especially working in the GameStop industry. Like
It could be tough.
it can be tough. It's really easy for you to be incentivized to like do something shady,
Mhm,
Even though like we
Yeah,
took care of our
very
stores,
much
but
so.
there's a lot of times where you're thinking like F this, like today sucks, I hate my district
Yeah.
manager, you know what I mean? Like
I mean, everyone
I'm
out
just gonna,
there
like-
who's listening can probably attest
Like,
to
relate
that.
to that, you
You're
know?
surrounded by a lot of money.
yeah, and
for
there's a lot of
sure.
opportunities, for you to be like, you know what, I could just do this and
Yeah.
say F everything,
Right.
you know, but like,
Right.
but then I ask myself, like, you know, I'm the kind of guy where I want to bring good energy to my store so that
Yeah.
when my employees walk in, they're not thinking like, oh, my boss looks super stressed. Like, I don't
Right.
want to do that.
I don't want to do that.
You know, I want them to see me and be like, oh, dude, like, no, it's going to be a good day today. Like, let's do it, man. They'd be
Right.
like, oh, well, I was feeling kind of like
the
slowed
one
down,
team
you know?
mentality.
Yeah, the one team mentality, yeah. So when you
Totally.
come in, it's just like, oh, no, like, you know what, you just hype me up. Like, let's go.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? And I may have been having not so much of a good day, but like I'm not bringing that on to somebody else. You know what I
Right,
mean?
Yeah.
exactly.
And they're actually looking, it's like, oh, I want to be store manager because, like, you know, this
Yeah.
is always super cool. You
He was
know,
looking
he's
out
making
for
money.
us, and
He's got his
yeah.
game store. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you know. So that's another thing too. Is like, you know, I can see how you're easily, you know, like you can easily be in that mentality where it's just like, you know what, let me just get that commission real quick. Like,
Yeah.
I've checked out. You know, like
Right.
I'm not really want to be here
Yeah,
anymore. Like, let me just
exactly.
go.
Exactly.
Because how many of us do we know, like, we're in GameStop for a minute, you know, from the turnover that were just there. You know, they were kind of just collecting a check. They weren't really interested
Yeah.
in anything.
Day in,
like,
day
just,
out, just, you know,
But then we're probably, you know, would try to get their way into, like, if they knew they were getting a commission, you know?
they would
Yeah,
take
I
advantage
mean,
of that, yeah.
There were we remember having some seasonals who already were trying to take advantage of things that got red flagged right away
Yeah,
when
right.
it came to the system, because they would be like, oh, you know, instead of trying to sell this person a pro account because they don't want it, why don't I just pull up my pro account and they can buy it there so I can get points?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
But-
can get my points up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you know, some people have done that and
Yeah.
they got flagged right away.
Yeah, that gets
And-
flagged real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because yeah, especially if you're handling the transaction yourself.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
exactly.
Which is just
Or
brain
they're in
dumb.
the
Well,
morning.
even too, like, I'd like to see how the fact that their stock is hurting so bad,
Yeah.
like, how that's affecting their goals. Like, how do you think store goals look nowadays compared to when, like, you were a manager?
compared to when we were there.
compared to
yeah.
me, compared to now, like, I can only imagine their goals are getting higher and higher based on certain things.
They're
You know?
getting more lofty, I could
Because
imagine. Yeah.
before, like, I remember for like the week, our goals would be at least like 60,000 or like 80 up to 80,000,
Right.
depending on what games were
yeah,
out.
depending on
you
what
know?
was out, yeah.
And then like I only see that's just like now you guys are kind of they have to compensate a little
Your
bit more. You know,
sell-through
like,
rates are probably through the roof.
they were
now,
checking
you
your
know?
UPT.
Yeah.
Was it
ADS
your
too.
ADS? You know,
It's
like
always going to be looked at, and
just to make sure that your store is actually being which would they say like you look at your contributions
right,
and see what your actual store is like contributing.
contributing to the district.
Well, I
yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing this or not, but I feel like they need to go back to simplifying goals a little bit.
Yeah.
Because before they would just look at what, like two different numbers.
It was reservations and then signups. You know, like that was
Yeah.
the main
that
thing.
was the old school.
But
like,
now
those
it's
were the
like
ways to go, yeah.
6 different categories
It's
that they
your-
look
It's
at.
like you have
different numbers.
loot, you have online sales, you do the weapon store, you know, you have like the trade, you
Well,
have your
even
you have
in
your
the-
making like your regular net, you know.
Even in the dollar amount too, you know, you're starting to look at margin for what you're making per item. You know,
Yeah.
so like a new system, margin for GameStop is
Like 10%, right?
Like a small
Yeah.
a single percentage, I think.
Because I always try to teach my guys that they really understand. It's like, yeah, but when you sell, say, a pre-owned item or like something of that sort, where
Right.
you're making 60%
Exactly,
of
the
the
margin
money
on
back,
something
you know,
like
yeah.
that. So when you're doing the P&L analysis, the profit and loss analysis
Mhm.
as a manager,
Yeah.
a little later, and you're starting to see what penetration your business is having in each group, and then you take that
Mhm.
to the team. You say, hey guys, I hate to say it, but we need to sell more used systems as opposed to new.
Yeah,
but it's
right now.
tough because you have to tell them, don't stop selling new stuff. Obviously, we want to keep selling that.
It's like you're bleeding us, guys.
but you know,
It's like,
make sure that everyone's reminding
Just kidding.
folks like we have this used also, and what's
Yeah.
the benefit of selling that
You
used
know,
one too.
I've always wondered something about this at least when it comes to GameStop, because GameStop has a weekly, sale for brand new.
Right.
And at that point, most people would rather just buy it new rather than pre-owned.
Right.
And that, this is a better incentive when it comes to pre-owned, in that you can try it for however
Right.
many and return it, but you can't with new. But well, actually, I think they're changing that. by the
Yeah.
way. But
really?
yeah, I do believe, because in Australia and other countries, you can open it brand new and still return it if you don't like the game. Within 30 days, something like that. But I think GameStop is actually finally starting to do that too.
Oh, damn.
Here in US. But anyways, getting back on track,
Mhm.
because we all know that new does not make the margins are really small for new.
Right.
So what happens when the game goes on sale, brand new? Because sometimes when games go on sale brand new, they're cheaper than
The
pre-owned.
pre-owned, yeah,
Right,
and people
they
would-
are cheaper than pre-owned.
I remember people would
occasionally.
laugh at me. They'd be like, like, what do you mean? Like, that makes no sense. I'd be like, no, it's because a lot of people like this, the sealed package.
Yeah.
They know it's like the game
Yeah.
that they've only
The
played.
first ones to play,
and then
I
it's
guess.
cheaper than buying the pre-owned.
And it's
one, you know?
cheaper than buying.
But the
pre-owned.
thing about this one is if you don't like it, you
Right.
know, like you open it up, you're pretty much
Taking
stuck
the
with it. You're
chance
taking
at
the
that
chance,
point,
but it's
yeah.
cheaper.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
that's the whole, like, to your point too, like you're saying, like, you're still trying to, like, the way I looked at it, I'd always look at my walls and be like, is my pre-owned even represented anywhere?
Right, exactly.
You know, because
what are we communicating for our pre-owned stuff?
Yeah, you look over too, and even like they would just want my store, you know, like my store at some point, the one I had was more of like a hallway.
Yeah,
they would hit me with like all these cardboard cutouts and like all this stuff and this marking elements. I don't have gondolas or like, you know, like I'm always missing something, but then I can't really represent like
the used stuff
you know,
in the store,
and then especially with like the new consoles coming out, it kind of took up a lot of room, like on the wall shelf, you know, like you know, so.
But then that's always made me wonder. And I know sometimes the sale is not actually because of GameStop. Sometimes it's because of the games itself and the the publisher going, okay, put this on sale because it's selling so hot, or price drop it because it's so selling so poorly.
Right.
But I've always wondered about that because again, brand new games get like a very small profit margin. Yeah. So when it goes on sale, how does that look in the computer?
Probably even worse.
You know. Now
percentage is the same, but I mean, a percentage on a lower amount is going to be lower.
Well, so. But let's say like you sell a brand new game, and the profit margin for a brand new game is like 5%, right? So now you sell a game that's suddenly $20 off. Every time you make that sale, does that actually put a negative? Because I feel like wouldn't it? Because now there's no profit whatsoever.
They might, at that point you're just like basically taking your bullets, you know. It's just like, hey, we're gonna bank on our pro days, we're gonna bank on our trade and incentives. Like you said, the trade incentive right now is any game that's worth, you said 2 or more, you get an extra $5 credit.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so like they're gonna try to push that, more so than the new sales.
So what happens?
But I'm just talking about like in the past.
In the past, what happens with that is when you have like a significant markdown on a sale. What they tell, and I'm sure anyone who works in GameStop now or has worked there, this might seem familiar. The messaging from corporate at that point will be, make sure you add on there because we are losing when someone buys that game. So if you have someone who comes in and buys that one game and just that one game,
that's your UPT
we lost that sale. We're trying to get people to buy more than that. The sale puts more money in their pocket to buy more things from us. So we still want them to spend the $60, if not more. We just now want them to spend it across multiple items.
Like basically, like the sale is kind of like a gate opener.
It's a gate. It's a gateway. It's like a gateway drug.
Yes, I remember that's what you used to tell me all the time. Yeah, it's like you throw on the DLC. You throw on like. Did they buy like something? Well, let's like try to get them on a pre-owned controller. Hey,
right. I mean, how many times the DM said, "Oh, they have $20 extra in their pocket. Sell them a pre-owned controller. Sell them a pro card."
He's just like, I know he just bought a game, but how do you know his controller's not falling apart?
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
they've
like
got $20 extra to spend. Go make them spend it.
And I can understand that's what they're going for because that by the way, customers. That's what they're going for.
Right.
Because they're losing money when these games go on sale.
Right.
So that's why they try to push for other things.
Right.
And so that's why I know some customers are just like, no, I don't want all this stuff. Right. I came in because of the sale because I'm saving $20. I don't want to spend it now.
Right, exactly.
But that's their mentality.
That's the mentality. But thinking about it from the customer mentality, at the end of the day, that game is a lot less than it typically is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you're inclined to spend more like that, that's always going to be an option. You do at the end of the day have more money in your pocket. Mm-hmm. So why not pick up a game for $5 or whatever it might be, and then you go home with 2 games. So it totally makes sense. We can see. I think for us, we've kind of seen it on both sides, so we can understand it on both ends.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, we can it's a double-edged sword.
It's a double-edged sword, though. I think again, everyone out there who's worked there or working there now, I'm sure that's a familiar story for sure. So, what I've always found fascinating is switching gears a little bit too. What I've always found fascinating from a financial aspect of the store is how every end cap and every piece of marketing is for sale in the store. That was always something that kind of perplexed me because I always wanted to know more. Like, okay, well, how much does an end cap cost?
Yeah, right. Exactly. So how much are they paying for that space in the store?
And I know, of course, it's like in bulk, so that a company or a publisher goes and says, okay, we're marketing Assassin's Creed for the next month. And we want to market it in 500 of your stores.
Mm-hmm. Well, you remember that we used to have that one guy that come over from Bandai Namco, and he'd always give us a hard time. Remember him?
Give us a hard
time.
Like
he'd always walk around and be like, "Well, where's your Dragon Ball this?"
Exactly. It would be from the perspective of we paid for that, So you guys better get that stuff out.
Yeah, he'd look over and be
know?
like, "Isn't there supposed to be something like right here?"
Yeah.
You know, and I'll be like, "Dude, like I'm helping somebody out
Right,
now."
like
He's
I'm
just
with
like,
the customer right now.
He's like auditing us, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure it's like exactly like Ubisoft or like Activision or whoever,
was,
Blizzard, whoever it is, kind of basically just pays for,
Yeah.
like you said, certain like a layout. It's like, well, we want at least 3 spots,
Right.
Like,
We
or
want at least 3.
We
We
require
want-
at least 2 end caps, or
We want our
You know?
end cap and our gondola or whatever it might be. We're paying enough to where that should be positioned in the front of the store. And then we're also paying for a front window sign too. And we're paying for it for the next 2 marketing cycles. And we want it in the western regions only. It's like the business of figuring that sort of thing out always really interested me. Like really figuring out that sort of thing.
That's
you know?
really true, you know, too, because I remember even, like, well, going on topic is bringing people in, too, financially, is for, like, people trying to promote tournaments or stuff like that.
Yeah, that
like,
sort
they
of
bring
thing,
in
too.
flyers, and, like, our district manager would be like, no, you can't post
You can't
flyers
have that
up
on the
because...
counter, right.
You can't have it on the counter or on the window because, like, that space is paid for. Like,
That's a paid for space.
You know, yeah, you can't...
if we had a
you can't,
representative
like,
from Ubisoft who came in and said, okay, we've got our nice, Assassin's Creed huge, poster, which
Yeah, right.
is what we paid for. But why is there a little, local tournament
you
shop?
got your
who's-
little Super Smash Bros. tournament over here.
You get
yeah,
that
like,
out of the. We didn't pay for that. No,
Yeah.
we reserved that entire window for ourselves.
Because I remember we used to have a bunch of people coming through and wanting to
Yeah.
see tournaments or like just
You
leave some
probably
kind of
remember
like
that
you
trade
know.
Oh, yeah,
too,
of
right?
course.
Seen all
Of
that
And then we'd
too.
always ask like our district manager at the time like what we could do, and he's just like, nope, you can't have it on the counter, you
Right.
can't have it anywhere.
Right.
And even too, one of my old managers, like he has a tournament business that he does, like a tournament spot.
Oh, yeah.
And like he would even bring his flyers over, and
Oh,
he'd
yeah.
try to
Yeah.
like put them like in the DLC sections or like
Yeah,
kind of like
right.
tucked away. And
Tucked away.
I was okay with it. I was just like, no, yeah, like it's like 'cause I know
Right.
he's a cool guy,
Right.
but I totally understand what they say by
Yeah.
like. We had a whole email about it. Like we talked about on the conference call.
Really?
It was like, yeah,
It was a topic.
it was
to
a
talk
topic
about,
of just like, hey, we can get like in trouble for this stuff,
Right.
like realistically.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
And
that's
that's
why-
that's something that the promoters probably should think about.
Mhm.
Is that if you're rejected for that, is that because they
Yeah.
they don't want to promote it? That's because other companies have paid
Yeah.
for a promotional spot, and they don't want your local thing
Right.
like taking up
exactly.
some of that
Right.
money when
There's
they're not
a-
paying anything.
There's a significant amount of money
But-
involved.
Yeah, it's like the return on investment though, like bringing
It
people
is.
in and then like
But
they're in
yeah,
your store buying
it's-
stuff
Yeah.
because the
Exactly.
tournament or like because we all run successful tournaments where
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
actually see you make a lot of money.
You make
Like
money from that.
people are buying stuff because they're they're
Yeah.
really excited.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, why didn't I win that in the raffle? Now I want to go buy
I
it.
want to
you know,
go and
'cause,
get it
like,
now.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Where
it's,
it's
it's a tough call.
It's
you
a
know?
balance, like you
Yeah.
said. It's a balance.
And like as in I can understand these big companies, they want to they paid for the spot, but
Right.
they paid for it in a global scale.
Right.
And
In bulk.
in your community, you want to help out your community
Right.
too. You want to be close to your community, so you also want to promote your local community.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand both standpoints, but they both promoters have to
Mhm.
understand why sometimes they get rejected.
Rejected
And
from
then these other people, these other big companies have to understand this is why we're letting the local guys promote, because we're trying to give back.
Right. It's
We're trying to reach out. We're trying to grow. We're trying to
We're
connect.
trying to grow our community
Yeah.
and our store, and if
Exactly.
you think about it, the more we grow our store,
the more it helps you out,
Yeah, right.
because
Helps the
they
bigger-
see your stuff.
Right. The more
So-
traffic we're bringing
Yeah.
in from the community. So
Yeah, what's rough about my store was like my store was just getting dug into the ground, because like
Yeah.
there's just no love, like as far as like we were saying contributions.
Yeah.
They weren't actually running it like properly, It was kind of just like they're running the store blind. Kind of it's like driving a car blind almost, Like they
Interesting.
weren't putting us in a profitable situation.
just didn't know your
So-
area, didn't know how
Yeah,
to best
so-
cater to your community.
So that's how I got like I realized visually like I need to get my regulars back.
Yeah.
I need to establish new regulars.
Mhm.
I need to make my staff like feel like they can want to come in.
Yeah.
And I need to get the people excited about stuff.
Right.
So that's why you saw like I ran the Destiny events. I ran the
Right.
Dragon Ball Fighters event.
Yeah.
Like we had
Some of that.
we had a whole bunch of different stuff that actually brought people in and saying like, dude, like
It was
those things were
building
cool.
the
Yeah.
loyalty up again. Yeah.
Yeah, people would come back, and they're actually talking about like, when are you doing the next one, and stuff like
Yeah.
that,
See,
and it would
that's
really
cool.
make it like so people wanted to come into your store,
Mhm,
which
mhm.
generate business,
Which would generate
which would generate the
that
actual
you need.
business in there,
Yeah. Yeah, fascinating stuff. It really is. When you
Yeah.
start diving under the hood of what goes into maintaining a store
Mhm.
from a financial perspective.
Yeah. And like customers. I know we already talked about this, but customers will come in and like they might be down on the event. Oh, this is a meh event,
yeah.
And but like they don't realize sometimes there's no budget for that stuff.
Yeah.
And it comes out of
Right, yeah.
the management pockets.
Right.
And our
like the consoles are my consoles.
Yeah,
that we're
we had
playing
to
on,
bring
you know?
those
yeah,
in.
like, we
Yeah,
had to
yeah.
bring those in.
Or
Yeah.
like you buy the stuff yourself to give out the raffle
to buy
drawings.
the game.
And
They're
so-
giving out a game for the raffle.
Yeah,
you
and like-
bought that game.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I bought
exactly.
like 3 or 4 pops, like a statue, and then like a copy of the game for
Get it out of
the.
your pocket.
And
man.
then-
And that was
yeah.
all for the tournament, you know.
Exactly,
Yeah,
and
right.
customers don't think of that. They're just
Right.
like, oh, maybe they just giving them out.
Right.
But GameStop corporate expects some kind of expense list.
Yeah.
Whereas you can't just zero out an item
Yeah.
because they're just like, wait,
Yeah, right.
why is this?
Yeah.
So the managers
get
actually
questions.
buy it.
Yeah.
And so to give it out, so that's out of the freaking manager's paycheck.
Mhm.
Yeah, right. And back to what I
Mhm.
was saying too, is like my store was in such a rough place to where like financially, even the things I was doing to try to generate business, it wasn't really making like too big of a dent. Like
Right.
it was
Yeah.
helping.
Right.
You could see us trending. Like I'd even always show them and be like, no, my store is trending positive
It's
right
trending
now.
Yeah.
positive.
It's
yeah.
trending up. But the whole thing is just like, no, we need like we need the results now. Like
Yeah.
we need money now.
Yeah.
Like what aren't you doing right? And like they
Yeah.
really start focusing on like your real like your numbers, you know,
Right.
and they
What
start
are the
micromanaging
actual-
your store and like
Yeah.
that's what's it's really hard to get out of like especially with where the business is now. Like we said,
Right.
it's hard to kind of pull a store out that's kind of already like in the hole really
In
deep.
it, yeah.
Because
like-
the turnover is crazy too.
Yeah.
Like especially when now we can get into layoffs.
Right.
Even like how many layoffs have been going on with corporate like
Over 100. Yeah.
over
Yeah.
100. And how's that going to trickle down to the actual like store level?
And
Like
you know
when it
it's-
gets to managers or
Yeah,
like
when it gets down to that
GAs, we start losing GA levels.
Yeah.
Like one key holder, one GA, that's it. Or
Right.
like what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And all of that is probably thought about on the corporate level as this is just something that team and that store is going to have to deal with.
Yeah, you're
which
gonna have to
really
make it happen.
sucks when
Yeah.
you're on the ground level and you're having to deal with it, in person. But yeah, I think when you're talking about a business, at the end of the day, numbers kind of speak the story, and so
Yeah,
if those
exactly.
numbers aren't
Money-
speaking
money
a
talks,
good
yeah.
story, then they're going to step in and say, all right, well, we've got all of this data of how stores are averagely, how they're run to make an average profit or whatever, do an average good job. We're going to run your store that way. We've let your store do it your own way. It hasn't worked. So now we're gonna come in and you're gonna do.
Yeah, we can get into how I left GameStop. But that's pretty much like the
Yeah.
sum of like my ending of my GameStop career is
Yeah.
when you're trying to really help the business out and like push forward, but because in the corporate eye or in like the bigger picture to them, you're not making enough
You're
money
not
just
making
yet.
enough, right?
Even though like you're like I said, you're where you're trending,
Right.
it's really easy for let's say your district managers or your leadership to throw you under the bus,
Mhm.
as opposed to being like, hey, this is why it's not happening more. So it's
Right.
like it's easier for once their boss asks them, they can look over at you and be like, well, why isn't
Yeah.
it that
Well,
this
why
isn't?
aren't those numbers?
Well, why
that?
isn't this in?
Right.
And you're like, well, let's go back to if we want to pull the paperwork out. Like, let's
Right.
go back to when the previous manager was here. Like,
Right.
Let's see how he was trending, as opposed to like really micromanaging my store and judging my base
Yeah.
of work on, let's say, a quarter.
Yeah.
You're gonna base my store's like ability to sell or perform based on like a quarter.
Right.
Like even if it's a quarter where no games are selling. Because
Right,
You've
exactly.
even been in dry spots where let's say
Yeah, like the winter dry spot.
the winter dry spot, where there's nothing coming out.
Yeah.
Everyone already has their stuff, and like you
Yeah.
know, it's like it's really hard for them to really understand where we're at from like a store level.
Right.
Because like you were saying, they're just kind of looking at it as like a big
Right.
Where,
And then
where's my dollar amount at?
And then if they don't see that, then they start asking, well, what are you doing that's different than the other stores that are making money?
Yeah, right.
And then then you tell them, oh, well, I'm trying to drive traffic through events and I'm trying to do all that. And then that's where they say, no, we're just going to have this run vanilla. No more events, no more all that. Because it works for these 500 million other
like-
stores.
So to your
So
point too is
you're
like I
gonna
went
do
to
it that
another
way.
store where I was assistant manager, but we were really, really, really small volume store.
Right.
Like it was small. Like it was pretty much like right next to a Safeway. It was just like really, really
Yeah.
tight.
Small
But the
group,
thing
yeah.
about that, was like our goals were just so low.
Yeah.
Like it was kind
Yeah.
of like if we sold like 3 or 4 like consoles, like we were doing good.
You were good.
Like
Yeah, you were on a
setting-
good
we were-
path.
As opposed to like when I was running my $2 million store, that was
Yeah.
like no, you had to get some of those out.
You got to, yeah. The
so-
selling there is.
So their
yeah.
whole thing is just like, well, I'm grading like the district on like, well, why aren't you doing as go as so and so?
Right.
Well, they are small. Like, well, no, it's based off of like they average
It's
it out
the average.
because
yeah.
of their area or whatever. And
Right.
you're kind of just like, but then at that point, you shouldn't be comparing us. Like, you should be comparing me to a higher volume
To
store.
a higher
that's,
volume
yeah.
store. Right.
that's around to like my level because
Right.
they're hurting too.
right.
And you'd see that too because like we talked about GameStop camaraderie already.
Mhm.
Like we all speak with other managers and we all know like how bad we're hurting.
Mhm.
Like we're all talking about it, but
Yeah.
when they're comparing you to a lower volume store and like saying like you said, oh, we're gonna keep it vanilla. This is what's going on.
Right.
This is how it's worked
This
before.
is how it's worked for those
You
other
know, yeah.
stores. This is what you got to do. So,
It's-
and- and
I can really see why they're-
micromanaging comes in.
Yeah, I can really see how they're hurting financially right
Yeah,
now for sure.
It's a tough situation because, I want to clarify, GameStop corporate is not telling managers that they have to buy their own stuff
Yeah,
to
no,
give out.
that's
No,
not a
Yeah, no,
that's
yeah.
not what they're saying at all. but
it's just the means we have to go through.
Yeah, like the managers, they need to, first of all, they want to drive more volume to their store for whatever reason. It could be because they're passionate about it, or it could be because the store needs it to stay alive.
Yeah.
And or it could be both. But you have to understand how much effort managers put into this that you're not seeing.
Yeah.
Like again, because this is coming out of their pocket most of the time.
Right.
I always put the analogy, it's like that little cartoon, like where you put your finger in the hole in the boat, and then like another pole pops out, and you put your other finger in there, but then another one pops out, and you use your other finger, and you're like,
out, man.
and then you're just trying to deal with all the problems happening at once,
Yeah.
while still trying to like run the business,
Yeah, I'd say I mean, at the end of the day, I think what it is just there's a natural tension between corporate and the ground level efforts, and a successful manager is able to navigate and keep that natural tension where you're always going to be a little uncomfortable because resources are thin in that kind of environment. But that kind of teaches you, how to be resourceful with some of the things that you do have. And I mean, you guys have seen it, some really, really cool events done with really, really small budgets.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
And some of it involves managers purchasing things. Some of it involves getting really creative with the budget that you're given from corporate. So I don't know. I think that natural tension, it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And so just having to kind
I
of
do
work
remember
within those means.
in regards to, you talked about your old manager, which I know who you're talking about. Obviously, I've
Yeah, we have extensive GameStop history.
Yeah, I still talk to him too. But I know that he used to do certain events where he would give out a game.
Yeah.
Like maybe it's the launch game, and he would give it out, and he would zero it out. And technically, obviously, you're not supposed to do that. But they would, LP would go to him like, hey, LP is loss prevention.
Right,
For anyone who
loss
doesn't know.
prevention.
But LP would go to him like, hey, what happened to this game? It's like, oh, I gave it away as a raffle.
The
It's
GameStop
like,
police. For
yeah,
anyone.
and they're just
Yeah,
like,
the
well,
Gestapo.
It's like, well,
GameStop.
Oh, I like that.
That's good. That's a good one.
We have it on tape.
Yeah.
The GameStopo would come around and ask questions.
Yeah, but no, they would be like, oh, you can't do that. That's making a store lose money. And I remember he told me this, and he was just like, yeah, well, guess what? I gave that game away. That the store lost $60, but I also, because of that raffle and that event, I also made $5,000. How do you argue that? And they have nothing to say against him. They're just like, well, you know what? You're just not supposed to do it.
Yeah,
That's all they have.
If it's
you
it's
lose
almost
60,
like,
but you sold 5,000.
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's like,
Right.
okay, well, we're gonna give you a warning because we have to, because you're really not
slap
supposed
on
to
the
do
wrist.
that. But quietly, when we're back at corporate, that's an amazing thing. And I wish we can tell more people to do that, but we can't because we're the GameStopo.
Yeah, right. So yeah, right, because we're the GameStop. Yeah.
We can't be promoting that, but
I like that.
yeah, and I think that just goes back to that natural tension.
Yeah.
You know what you're supposed to do. You know what you may get in trouble for. You may have a visit from LP, loss prevention.
So do you think it's just a matter of the leadership right now? Like, because they don't have, let's say, the commander-in-chief, like their CEO to really drive a singular vision?
Yeah, there's not a vision.
Do you think, there's no real vision at the moment?
Yeah.
Do you think it's because of the GameStopo and then like,
Yeah.
yeah, right, and
then
the fact that their leadership isn't really standing behind them very often? Like,
very true. And
that makes you, because when's the last time you felt like, you were happy selling, like, you were like, you know what, we're kicking ass right now? Like
I know what
my goal is.
I know what it takes to get there.
When my guy comes in,
tons of support from
when my guy gets in, I ain't tripping. Like we're good to go.
What we're doing, and that I don't know. I haven't been in the environment in quite some time. Maybe those of you out there who are working there currently can attest to what it's like. But I mean, that vision at the top is everything, man.
Yeah,
and when there's a vacancy of that buy-in and that consistent idea of what the hell we're trying to do as a company, in that vacancy, in that void, then you have factions that start to pop up of we should be doing it this way, and then another one, well, no, we should be doing it this way, and no, we should be having Game Informer.
There's no circle of life. It's the tribe of life now.
It's the tribe.
It's like survival.
Didn't
we always called GameStop home? It's almost like survival, right?
It is.
Or I'm sorry, it's like a Survivor rather.
Survivor,
the show. Like where everyone kind of like at first starts off on the same team, but then you branch off, and then like it's everyone for themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you start forming alliances.
GameStop is basically modern Lord of the Flies, right?
Yeah, Lord of the Flies. No,
it really is. Yeah.
And then at some point, like you have your own little clique, and then like like now we're talking exactly like you had those more like more You know, you're just taking care of your own.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just looking out for my store now and my team.
And the customers, that
Yeah.
one person at the very end that hops onto, like, finds the island, like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, right? Yeah, exactly.
And finds us hovered around an old Xbox original, trying to stay warm.
Trying to stay warm, yeah. Yes. No, but it's true. There's no real like singular vision from the top right now, and I feel like that is definitely hurting them financially.
Yeah.
Because especially with all these layoffs too, like I haven't heard any statement from like GameStop or anything of the
there's
sort,
been no
or like.
statement. And
I wonder if they would have sent an email out, because you remember we used to get emails from the top whenever something big happened, where they kind of be like, "Hey, you know, like I'm sure you've heard of this, like this is our comment on it, but you're supposed to keep it like in house." You know what I mean?
And
like,
they give us talking points if anyone.
if anyone asks.
First of all, don't talk about it if you can help it.
Yeah, kind of
if
like
you do have to talk about it, this is what you're supposed to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like they pretty much like cover that with the leadership, you know, at least with the store leadership, with the GameStop managers and stuff,
right?
You know?
Yeah.
Like you would see that and be like, oh, okay, you know, like
yeah, right.
But like so far, like you don't really see them talking about anything, like like it's just more news popping up, you know, like.
Yeah.
Especially what you said, they're a new investor that's popping up, right? Like.
Yeah, they've got a new investor. I was reading. Someone
from The Big Short. What was it again?
A prominent. There's a movie that came out a while ago called The Big Short.
Mm-hmm.
That was was actually like an investment movie or something.
It was about. I think it was.
I've not seen it. I've actually heard it was good though.
Might have been the 2008 or 9 crash that happened that put us into that recession at that time.
Yeah.
And it was like the preamble, the prelude to that crash, and it was focusing on the whole idea of subprime mortgages and really, really dense stuff. But in that movie, based on a true story, but in that movie, they had, I think it was Christian Bale played a real life investor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what his name was, but it was basically the guy that was kind of sounding the alarm before the whole thing happened. In the news, apparently.
The British are coming.
Exactly.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He was kind of ringing the bell, but no one was listening, as usually that story goes. One smart person in the room, nobody listens to him.
The GameStop was coming.
So, yeah, apparently this guy... Yeah, exactly. So apparently this guy, from that movie, real-life guy, is investing in GameStop. Put a lot of money into it, too.
Nice. IRL.
So,
nice.
quick comment from him says that GameStop is actually at its lowest point. He believes with the console. I don't know what he's read or what he's seen. He's obviously more intuitive when it comes to this sort of thing, but he says the next console launches should bring this
like,
company up.
Being like with where we're at with like new consoles popping up, like the Stadia and stuff like that. You know? Maybe there's some stuff that they know about that we just don't really like know about.
Yeah. Well, he specifically was mentioning the traditional console launches, so the new Xbox Scarlet,
or even like those
PS5.
ones too. Yeah.
Apparently, from everything he's researched and seen on
he's
those
convinced?
things, he's convinced, and he's dropped a lot of money in GameStop stock recently.
Okay.
So
we'll see.
Well,
like
technically, as an investor, is he like a sort of a shareholder?
Yeah. So his
at that point,
normally they have some kind of inside.
They have some kind of I mean, they can't have too much because then it gets you know illegal. But he's got something that tells him that.
This
whatever
is where I
want to coming in
PS5
and Scarlet, like you want to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And he says at this point he thinks that GameStop has bottomed out and it'll actually turn up, particularly when those.
Because like I was looking at it, it's like I think it's like $3 a share right now. Like it's pretty rough.
It's
yeah,
under
you know?
4. I know that much.
You know,
sure.
So like right now, like it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, maybe that will incentivize someone else to come in and try to like swoop up the torch, you know, and say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take what was his name? I forget the old CEO's name now.
Paul Raines.
Paul Raines, yeah. Like I'm gonna take Paul Raines' spot.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm really like, you know,
R.I.P.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Man.
You know, but yeah, we're gonna take Paul Raines' spot. You know, and I'm really gonna drive the company.
And you know, GameStop is at its core, at its heart. When you think about where it began, when you think about its old mission statement before, you know, all the new things that we were in, at its core, it still has a lot of potential to be the one-stop shop for gamers. You know, like there's still something there. It just requires a vision.
Little TLC, some tender loving care.
Little TLC.
You know, even before like the step down. Yeah. It always seemed like something was changing. We talked about it multiple times, where they just seem to keep every year changing something.
Yeah.
And like it's like, oh, it didn't work for the year, so let's change it back.
Just a little stability is what they need.
So I feel like there was also like there's a bigger lack of direction now.
Right.
But before there was still a lack of direction back then.
Yeah.
Where it's like, where do we want to go from here?
Right.
And they just could not figure it out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So yeah, I mean, from a macro level, that's kind of what we kind of think the company's looking like. But on a micro level, thinking about on a store by store basis,
It's kind of like, would you say like, would you feel like GameStop is a place where people can thrive financially, like say as a store manager? Could you see that as a career that would be viable?
Yeah, there were some people that we knew who were making it work for a long time.
They were making it work for a long time, But you think can sit through this climate with GameStop constantly changing and stuff?
That's
like
tough. I don't know.
For all you those out there that are making it work, like kudos to you.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not easy.
Stay strong,
stay
guys.
strong.
It's a rocky.
We've been there,
We're in rocky waters right now. But, those of you who are making it work, keep on keeping on.
Yeah, because, like, the main thing a lot of people's, like, because, like, even coming out, like, I wouldn't say that it was a waste of time ever. Yeah. Because of all the amazing experiences like that. But, like, on a financial level, seeing, like,
it's retail,
Yeah, like, where I've kind of been able to grow and get, like, the promotions that I have and be at the spot where I'm at financially now.
Yeah.
Like, I look back and it's like, no, GameStop wouldn't have been able to provide me that, like, for sure, And it makes me sad, though, because, like I said, like, it wasn't that I hated that place at all. Like, it's not coming from a place of like, oh yeah, F GameStop. No, it's like the people were really cool. My staff was really cool.
Yeah.
I loved the things we were selling. You're into the community. Like you had a passion for what you were doing.
Right.
And it kind of sucks that like it's not something that you could like really see. You hit the ceiling pretty much.
Yeah,
like
you hit the ceiling.
You kind of hit a ceiling quick.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I would like to see it to where there's options open for like, let's say corporate, where
like a development.
Where there's a developmental part. Because remember before, like you'd have your district manager, then you have like your kind of like lower end, like the lead almost.
Your lead for the region and that sort of thing
and stuff like that. So where you felt like like there's enough promotion happening in the company to where I feel like if I work hard enough as a manager, I can get into the district manager level.
There was like a clear advancement. From your own personal financial perspective, you can get what you need doing what you like doing.
Yeah, exactly. You can still get a little more extra money, get some more coin, some rupees in your pocket.
Get some more rupees, exactly.
But the whole thing is like it felt like you hit the ceiling and there was not a lot of corporate like level like jobs where you could be like, what if I did get a district like manager job where I could be just like one little chunk, you know what I mean?
Just
like
a small segment of the district.
And then like we have another district manager too, like we're working together as a partner and we can really focus in on the core values and I can go into the stores and check them out and be like, hey, how are you running it? Because you remember there's times you don't even see your district manager until you got in trouble.
Until you got in trouble.
Yeah. And then now he's in your store every day.
He'd stop by with the GameStop on occasion and then you'd be in real trouble. Then that's when you find out someone on staff been stealing. So
like how did you feel like as a manager there? Did you feel like you hit the ceiling at some point?
I feel like every now and then when I was there, you'd hear something from corporate around them. Oh, we're looking into a developmental program to really, bring it full circle as far as your advancement of your career in GameStop, And every now and then they would come out and say we're working on it, and then nothing would happen, or something would happen and it didn't go anywhere, like the whole level up program that they had. That was purely meant to be an advancement mechanism, to help people get to the next level, as it were, in their career at GameStop, empowering, everyone from the seasonal GA to the store manager on what it takes to get to that next level, if that's what you want to do. But it fizzled. It fizzled every single time until the next time someone in corporate thought, maybe we should think about a developmental program for our employees.
Yeah,
and they'd launch a new one, and then that fizzled, and so it was like a cycle. So I don't know, as a manager or someone in management, not only for myself, I felt, when I saw those things and I had known, okay, this is like the 100 millionth time they've tried this, it's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, like saying that same cycle.
It's like, man, well, okay, I guess I'll play along for a while and see what I can learn if there's anything to learn this time around, but nothing's going to come from it because,
Because it hasn't before.
Because it hasn't before, and but then beyond that, from a management perspective, it was tough sharing that with the team and presenting it as this is a way to advance your career.
Yeah, right.
Because I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere. So it's like, I want you guys to do this. Like this, we're all going to hit it hard. Like, let's make it competitive. Who's learning what trainings. We're going to, who can beat who's score and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, you kind of know in the back of your mind, man, this isn't going to go anywhere for these guys. Like, it can probably get them a promotion, like, in the store itself, which is great. Get them more rupees in their pocket, like you said.
Yeah.
But in terms of, like, positioning them, like, we'd get employees, I don't know, you might have had it. Had an employee come up to you, like, what does it take to get into corporate? Like, what if I want to work in LP?
Yeah,
what if I want to go work in the distribution center or something? It's like, honestly, like... quit and go to school and then apply.
Yeah, right.
It's not going to happen when you're in GameStop.
Yeah.
So
Unless you came from like Funko Land.
You see,
unless you can, yeah, exactly.
It's not to say, but it's like it is a rare breed because like even me, I started as seasonal and saw myself working my way up. You know,
and you're waiting in the store.
And like, yeah,
right.
you can definitely like take care of yourself. Like you were saying, people make it work, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make
Like,
it work.
and even if you're up there and you're content, because a lot of people are content just with what they got. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'd say more power to you guys. But
Yeah, exactly.
like I just, what I realize is there's just so much more. You know,
There's more now, though. Yeah,
like
And
especially with like that climate.
People have. I know people have made it into corporate that we've worked with
Yeah,
from a
exactly.
store. It's possible, but
And then
if there was an easier, clearer plan of how to do that.
Yeah, so I feel like financially, like if GameStop can find a way to give people like that clear line, like you're saying, like clear line of promotions or
Right,
a clear line of
development and
this is what I'm going to learn, this is how I'm going to utilize it to like enhance my like let's call it my career. It almost makes people more incentivized to want to stay, sale, make their stores better.
to want to stay there.
You
and
know,
make
be
their
able to
store
like
better.
generate more like loyal employees that are going to be there. You know?
and it, like you said, it comes full circle to the store. If you have
It's
if you have a base of employees that believe in what they're doing
and know they're going to get compensated
and
for
know
it.
that they're going to get compensated for it, I mean, what kind of experience do you think those employees are going to create for customers? You know, and bringing in more customers for that store. So, I don't know. There's a it all goes back to the give and take.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the give and
balance.
take.
Yeah.
Because even with you, Dreidel, like, did you see the ceiling at all? Like, as far as like when you were there?
Yeah.
I didn't try.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you didn't try.
Right,
Okay,
right.
that's true. Because like even a perfect example, like you could make it work, right?
Yeah.
With like that,
Yeah, no, definitely.
and it was consent, right?
I felt like I definitely could have if I tried. I know a lot of people at the time, before I even worked there, I was coming in and I would be able to tell people, like customers, deals that GameStop employees did not know off the top of their heads.
Yeah.
And so that's why you guys kept asking me. It's like, hey, you should work here.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I just wasn't all that interested. I
Yeah.
really liked the store. I liked everybody there. That's how
it was
up.
based on the store
Yeah.
itself. Yeah.
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 But and I was just like, okay, once I lost my job at where I was before, which was Google, I was just like, I'll work here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
everyone, but no, I definitely saw that I could have, but having been in management, I think before that I've already had a total of 9 years of management prior,
experience. Yeah.
and I just did not want
You
that.
didn't want to get back
Yeah,
into
right?
that. Yeah.
You see, that's a refreshing thing. Come from like like kind of like the key holder position, the senior game advisor position.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're kind of just there providing experience,
Yeah.
providing that wisdom, but still like you felt content with like the
Yeah.
spot that you're in.
Right.
Yeah.
Not
Right.
that you wouldn't like a little extra money or maybe
Yeah,
like something,
exactly.
but
Right.
it's not like you were really looking for it specifically.
Yeah. It's just
Right.
more of a, there was someone there already who we've talked about before.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That deserved the spot more. He had been there 5 years, and I'm like, no, promote him. I don't want that.
Right.
But
Mhm.
but I already know that once you get to that level position, you're taking work home,
Yeah.
and I ain't
Exactly.
taking any
You're
of
taking
that.
work home. at
That's
that
why I set
point.
my phone alarm like the ringtone for my store as like the Pokemon battle music. Like
Nice.
So like whenever I heard, I'm like,
Get ready for a battle.
Damn, like what's going on?
But our guest last week, Level Up, put it really well, and he kind of had this mentality when we were working with him too.
Last week?
Not last week. When did we posted that episode 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks
2 weeks
ago.
ago. Okay. Just a mentality of this is the store that's provided you a means of living, for the period that you worked there. So it's just inherently hard for those of us who depended on them for that living to ever think anything, salacious about how they treated us. I mean, sure, we could have been working at other places, but I think all of us can agree, and probably those out there who are listening can agree, we worked there because we liked this stuff. We were all gamers. We liked talking about games. We liked talking about it with other gamers. And so at the end of the day, we got paid what we got paid.
It wasn't about the work itself.
It covered us enough to stay there. But it was the nature of the work, and it was the willingness for, on our end to put up with that sort of thing. So
yeah, and of course there's people, like we'll test, like gamers are some of the most interesting people to talk to,
Yeah.
And you meet some people that you'll never forget, for sure.
Right.
Especially from thinking, like you see them on the street and be like, oh man, like I already know you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna name drop, but there's a lot of regulars that we had that we'll
Yeah.
never forget for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So from a financial aspect, from us personally,
You're right. I'd say it provided me with just enough to get to where I'm at now.
Right.
So I'm
To set
like,
you up,
yeah, to set me up. So, I'm grateful for that, you know, definitely. But like, kind of like I said, from like a professional standpoint, you know, where I'm sitting there like trying to create my professional career. Maybe not so much, but like you said, like I'll never take back anything that I learned there, like the experiences I had there. I wouldn't be like, no, if I would go back and change it, no, you know, I'd still probably put my application in,
keep it there,
get an interview from Cashwrap over here, you know,
another interview,
do another interview, you know,
to interview with Level Up again.
Yeah.
So you mentioned another guest, or not a guest, but
Yeah.
we've got to think of a nickname for him.
Oh yeah.
When he comes on the
I know
show.
we've discussed a few that we could possibly call him, but
right. No, we have a very special guest hopefully coming soon. If we can get him out, we just need to throw some bait.
Throw some X-Men comics.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
to the door, and maybe he'll follow it.
Or maybe we'll be like, hey, and then we can binge Walking Dead afterwards if he still likes that
play
show.
some Harvest Moon.
We've got to give him lots. We've got to give him lots of incentives if to get him
food,
get him free beer,
food,
free
beer,
we'll
Harvest
pay for your
Moon,
beer
and
at,
Walking Dead. We probably
Applebee's, you know.
Oh man, I miss that guy.
Yeah.
It'd be a delight to have him on the show for sure.
Yeah.
Very delightful time
For sure. Before we end it, because it seems like we're gonna get there, all this talk about developmental.
I'd say we're at a good part.
Makes me wonder, like maybe they should hold some kind of global contest for people who don't really game but are like investor or like, you know, someone who's like really good at the strategic stuff. And like, hey, you know, we're gonna hold a global contest. All of you guys who don't really game but know all the stuff, you're gonna play XCOM and see how well you can do the base management.
Right.
And whoever then we'll hire you and help us with our financial problems.
You'll be our business strategist. You'll be our corporate strategy leader.
No, don't do that.
We're gonna crowdsource the future of GameStop.
Oh god.
Groundbreaking.
Oh no one would be on board that, especially with how funding games go. But,
crowdfunded games. Imagine a crowdfunded company.
Oh god.
Like GameStop.
Oh man.
Who already should have money.
For all of you who work out there, sorry, didn't mean to scare y'all with a crowdsourced leadership team. I'm sure that'll never happen. But so that was a fun rundown.
I'd say we got a lot of good stuff in there.
We got some good insights there into a lot of the back end channels of kind of what goes on from that management perspective, and
kind of seeing the ebb and flow of it, you know.
And I think I think this episode I maybe all of us here in the closing staff have mentioned more than usual the listeners out there, but I think that's because this one especially touching on personal finance and what that can bring to you personally, and the development path that you may be taking if you're looking at putting some significant time in your stores. We wanted to make sure we acknowledged all of y'all a little bit more this time.
I agree.
All of y'all who are going in it now, those of you who have been in it like us in past times, and even those of you who haven't, worked, in a GameStop in any capacity. We definitely had fun talking about that for you guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's nice touching back on that for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, that being said, I'll take us out. I'd say there's time to close the gate. Punch the alarm code in and run for dear life.
Time to run out that door real quick.
Alarm, man.
Time to leave a little note on the back counter. Sorry, we didn't get to the trade tonight.
Yeah, right. Turn off the interactives. You know what I mean?
We didn't do the cat counts yet.
Didn't do the cat counts, so the morning person will have to do that tomorrow.
Didn't do all the price tags, but we have to clock out a certain hour, so we're not staying more than that.
Quick.
We're not getting paid extra.
I also didn't count out cash register 3, so opener can.
We're not even supposed to use 3. We're supposed to only use 1 and 2.
Didn't count
so
out
you're
wasn't technically
breaking the rules, man.
Was it technically a 0, which was the back one, or I don't remember how that all worked, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we had to.
That being said, let's make sure we get the money right. No, I'm just kidding.
Opener. We're $1 over on Cashwrap 1, so take that into account in the morning, and tell GameStop it's changed.
Have fun dealing with the GameStop when they come in tomorrow morning asking what happened to the count.
Yeah, what happened exactly?
Because that was your responsibility.
Yeah, that was your responsibility.
Cover for me, please. Thank you.
All right, awesome.
All right, that's it. We are closing the gate and we're out of here.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good night.